The International Day for the Remembrance of Slave Trade and its Abolition is an international day celebrated August 23rd of each year. The day designated by UNESCO to memorialize the transatlantic slave trade. Slave trade, which is the enslavement and ownership of human and their offspring as property, able to be bought, sold, and compelled to work without wages. The transatlantic slave trade began when Portuguese ships traveled along the coast of West Africa in the middle of the 15th century. These travelers set out to sell for gold and spice, but instead they discovered a far more important commodity. The purpose of International Day for the Remembrance of Slave Trade and its Abolition is to honor previous freedom fighters and victims in order to motivate present and future generation to create a just society.
In a simple term, we can say a slave trade is a kind of business that involves buying and selling of human beings, either for profit making, service rendering, or for a show of power, leading to complete subjugation of the victim, which may lead to inhuman treatment of such fellow as a subject.
The word slave trade has been in existence for a very long time. It is an ancient word, and slave trade, I would say, is the buying, purchasing of enslaved persons.
Meanwhile, the enslavement of nearly 13 million Africans throughout transatlantic slave trade was motivated by the racist idea that these women, men, and children were inferior due to the color of their skin. Combating slavery's legacy of racism through transformative education, learning about the history of slavery enlightens us to the plight of those who endure comparable misery today. In addition to bringing their own customs, slaves also influenced pre-existing cultures and languages in the Cape.
It's celebrated actually to show how important freedom is to humanity.
It is celebrated because I would say it is one of the ways in which independence came in place. You know, after the abolition, which was in 1838, it brought hope to people that beyond what people can actually achieve, there is success in what they were doing, because slave trade it brought a lot of damage to mostly African countries. So celebrating it is an achievement to African countries especially.
The theme for this year's is fighting slavery's legacy of racism through transformative education. International Slavery Remembrance Day reminds us that slavery is the cancer of institutional racism, and that when not acknowledged and left unchecked, the prejudices are inherent in the conscious and unconscious behavior of all cultures and communities worldwide.
The government or the society can celebrate or appreciate these fallen heroes by immortalizing them, that is, erecting a statue just to show that they are not totally forgotten. They can also name them after important edifice in our society, and then we can also mention their names if such a record is actually kept, to commemorate a particular that very day, you know, to always remember them for what they've done in the past. And then finally, we can reach out to their families by giving them material things, you know, to show a kind of reward back to them for what these fallen heroes have done in the past.
One of the ways to appreciate someone for hard work, mostly our heroes, is for us to create a platform in which they will achieve from.
However, the day is intended to honor and remember all the people who were dehumanized by the cruel practice of systemic racism during transatlantic slave trade, and also spread awareness regarding history of the slave trade in order to acknowledge the impact of slavery on modern world. Temilola Akindeji reporting for KAFTAN TV News.